The planet was never supposed to be anything more than a barren rock floating in the void. All initial scans from orbit confirmed it. No atmosphere, no water, no signs of life. It was written off as just another dead world. But when the exploration team touched down and started their surface sweep, they found something no one could have expected. Beneath the surface, hidden in a network of tunnels, were remnants of advanced structures, far too intricate to have been formed naturally. Even more unsettling was the faint pulse of energy still radiating from deep underground, as if the planet itself was alive, waiting. Whatever had once existed here hadn't just disappeared. It had been preserved, and it was waking up. The mysterious planet, located in a far-flung corner of the galaxy, had long been thought of as barren and devoid of life. For decades, scientists speculated that its cold, rocky surface and lack of visible water meant it was just another dead world, a desolate rock orbiting a distant star. However, recent discoveries have begun to challenge this belief. A team of astronauts sent to the planet on an exploratory mission made the first intriguing discovery: unusual energy readings emanating from beneath the surface. These readings were unlike anything previously encountered, suggesting the presence of an unknown force or entity. Initial scans showed no life forms on the surface, but further investigation revealed subterranean structures, massive, labyrinthine tunnels that seemed to have been constructed by some form of intelligence. These tunnels defied the idea that the planet was devoid of life, raising the question of who or what created them, and when. Further exploration uncovered remnants of what appeared to be ancient technology, far more advanced than anything humans had ever seen. These devices, scattered deep within the tunnels, gave off faint pulses of energy, suggesting they were still partially functional. This led to even more unsettling questions. If the planet was supposed to be lifeless, why was this technology there? And could it still be in use by something, or someone hiding deep below the surface? Then came the strangest discovery of all: small, plant-like organisms clinging to the rocks in the darkest corners of the tunnels. These organisms, though simple, seemed to be surviving by feeding off the planet's faint energy signals. Their presence confirmed that the planet was not as lifeless as once thought. And if life could exist in these harsh conditions, it was possible something much larger and more intelligent was also thriving in the shadows. What began as a routine exploratory mission had now turned into a search for answers about the true nature of the planet. As the team dug deeper into the mystery, they encountered strange phenomena: lights flickering in the distance, strange sounds echoing through the tunnels, and the unsettling feeling that they were not alone. This was no longer just a barren planet. It was a world full of secrets, and potentially a dark and hidden history. The astronauts were faced with a growing sense of dread as they realized that whatever created these structures and left behind this technology might not be extinct, but simply dormant, waiting for the right moment to awaken. The planet's mysteries challenged everything they thought they knew about life in the universe and left them wondering whether they had stumbled upon something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. For years, scientists made initial assumptions about the planet's lack of life based on observable data collected from telescopes and robotic probes. The planet's rocky surface, devoid of any visible vegetation or water, led researchers to categorize it as barren. They assumed that the extreme conditions, low temperatures, minimal atmosphere, and high radiation levels, were simply too harsh to support life. These assumptions stemmed from the prevailing scientific belief that certain environmental factors were prerequisites for life: liquid water, a breathable atmosphere, and moderate temperatures. Without these, it was concluded that the planet couldn't host any form of life. These assumptions also reflected a certain Earth-centric view of what life could be. Scientists based their models of habitability on conditions similar to those found on Earth. This line of thinking limited their perspective, as they believed that all life forms must require similar environmental needs: oxygen, carbon-based molecules, and certain temperature ranges. The lack of these specific signs led to the conclusion that the planet was dead, nothing more than a cold, rocky wasteland. However, these assumptions came with significant implications. First, they shaped exploration strategies. instead of probing deeper into the planet's surface or atmosphere. Earlier missions were limited to surface-level scans and basic observations. This approach reinforced the belief that there was nothing to find, essentially creating a cycle where scientists didn't look because they assumed there was nothing there. And they assumed there was nothing there because they didn't look deeply enough. The focus remained on other planets with more Earth-like characteristics, such as those with traces of water or signs of a habitable atmosphere. The implications of these assumptions go beyond just one planet. They shaped humanity's broader understanding of life in the universe. If life could only exist in environments like Earth's, the chances of finding extraterrestrial life seemed slim. As a result, scientists viewed most planets as lifeless, and the search for life focused on finding Earth analogs elsewhere in the galaxy. It created a narrow field of study that overlooked the potential for life to exist in radically different forms or to adapt to environments previously considered uninhabitable. This bias also had philosophical implications. If Earth was the only planet in the universe capable of sustaining life, it reinforced the idea that humanity and life itself were rare, possibly unique. It contributed to a kind of cosmic loneliness, where humanity's place in the universe seemed isolated, as though Earth was an oasis in an endless desert of dead worlds. But as recent discoveries on the mysterious planet have shown, these assumptions were flawed. The detection of unusual energy signatures, combined with the discovery of subterranean tunnels and ancient, advanced technology, suggests that life, or at least some form of intelligence, might have existed on this planet after all. The presence of small organisms feeding off the planet's energy signals confirmed that life could take forms that defied human expectations. These life forms, although primitive, are surviving in extreme conditions once thought to be completely hostile to any kind of life. This challenges the long-standing assumption that Earth-like conditions are necessary for life to thrive. These discoveries carry profound implications. For one, they suggest that scientists must rethink their definition of life and the conditions required for it to exist. If simple organisms can thrive in extreme environments like those found on this planet, it opens the possibility that life could exist in even more hostile environments across the galaxy. This discovery broadens the scope of where scientists might look for life in the future, shifting the focus from Earth-like planets to a much wider range of celestial bodies, moons, gas giants, and even icy, distant planets might harbor life forms that are completely alien to human understanding. Furthermore, the discovery of ancient technology and subterranean structures hints at the possibility that the planet was once home to an intelligent civilization, or perhaps is still inhabited by one. This raises questions about how life evolved there and whether it could still be lying dormant beneath the surface. The implications of this are staggering. If life on this planet managed to adapt to its extreme conditions, it suggests that intelligent life might be far more resilient and widespread in the universe than previously believed. These findings also force scientists to confront the possibility that humans have been operating with a narrow understanding of life's potential. The assumption that life requires certain fixed conditions has been deeply ingrained in scientific thinking. But the discoveries on this planet have shown that life is far more adaptable than previously thought. It calls into question what other assumptions about the universe might be incorrect, and what other forms of life might be out there, hiding in places previously dismissed as dead. The realization that this planet might not be lifeless after all challenges humanity's view of itself as potentially alone in the cosmos. If life exists on this mysterious planet, it could exist elsewhere, which shifts the perception of Earth as a solitary haven. This discovery hints at a universe far more alive and complex than anyone ever imagined. The first exploration mission sent to the mysterious planet began with cautious optimism. The crew, made up of seasoned astronauts and scientists, expected to encounter nothing more than rocks, dust, and maybe a few energy anomalies. However, as their ship descended through the planet's thin atmosphere, the first of many surprises came in the form of magnetic disturbances that scrambled their instruments. Initially, they thought it was a malfunction in their equipment, but as they drew closer to the surface, it became clear that the planet itself was emitting these strange energy fields. It was an early hint that this place was not as lifeless as they once believed. Upon landing, the crew began to investigate the strange energy readings beneath the surface. Using ground-penetrating sensors, they discovered an extensive network of tunnels stretching deep into the planet's crust. These tunnels were unnaturally symmetrical, resembling a massive underground city or perhaps an ancient base. This discovery contradicted everything they thought they knew about the planet. If it had always been considered dead, how could such complex structures exist here? As they ventured into the tunnels, the astronauts experienced an unsettling sense of unease. The darkness was unnervingly complete, with the only light coming from their suits. The air was heavy and cold, filled with a strange static that made their hair stand on end. The deeper they traveled, the more they noticed strange carvings on the tunnel walls, hieroglyphics or symbols of some long-forgotten civilization. These carvings were unlike anything humans had ever seen, featuring abstract shapes that suggested a non-human intelligence had once thrived here. Then came the first encounter with a true alien phenomenon. One of the crew members, while investigating a particularly large chamber deep underground, reported seeing a flickering light in the distance. At first, the team assumed it was a reflection of their own equipment, but as they approached, the light began to move, flickering and pulsing in irregular patterns. It wasn't until they got closer that they realized the light wasn't just some energy anomaly. It was coming from a floating object, hovering silently in the air. It was metallic, spherical, and emitted a low hum. As the team tried to scan it, the object reacted by projecting beams of light that seemed to probe their surroundings, as if it were scanning them in return. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, the object vanished, leaving the crew shaken and confused. This encounter confirmed that something far more complex was happening on this planet than they could have imagined. The discovery of advanced technology, floating objects, ancient structures, and a network of tunnels suggested that a highly intelligent civilization once lived here. The energy fields surrounding the planet and the strange magnetic disturbances all pointed to the possibility that this civilization had not only existed but might have developed advanced technologies capable of manipulating the environment. It was unclear whether these technologies were still functional or if they were remnants of a dead society. Either way, the implications were staggering. As the team delved further into the tunnels, they made another shocking discovery. In a chamber hidden far below the surface, they found what appeared to be the remains of a biological entity. Encased in a crystalline material, the creature was unlike anything they had ever seen, with elongated limbs and a translucent, almost jelly-like skin. It was clearly not human, and its preservation suggested that it had been trapped in the crystal for millennia. What was most disturbing, however, was the realization that the creature might not be dead. The faintest flicker of movement in its limbs hinted at some form of suspended animation, as though it was merely waiting to awaken. The discovery of this alien being brought up even more terrifying possibilities. If this was a member of the civilization that built the tunnels, then it meant the planet's history was far darker and more complicated than they had initially thought. The question now was whether this creature was alone or if others were buried deeper within the planet, waiting to emerge. Could this being be a remnant of a long-extinct species? Or was it part of a still-living population hidden in the planet's depths? As if to confirm their worst fears, strange phenomena began occurring more frequently. The crew's communications were intermittently disrupted by bursts of static, and lights flickered randomly inside the tunnels. There were unexplained noises, distant thumping sounds that echoed through the chambers, and several crew members reported feeling watched, even though their scanners detected no life forms in the vicinity. At one point, one of the astronauts swore they saw a shadowy figure dart across the corner of their vision, only for it to disappear when they turned to investigate. The tension among the crew grew as the planet itself seemed to resist their presence. Every step deeper into the tunnels felt like a journey into the unknown, where the rules of science no longer applied, and the once clear distinction between the living and the dead became blurred. The crew realized that the planet's secrets ran far deeper than they had anticipated, and they began to suspect that they were not the first visitors here, nor would they be the last. Something ancient and possibly malevolent seemed to be lurking just beneath the surface, watching, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. The mission, which had begun as a routine exploration of a supposedly lifeless world, had transformed into a desperate search for answers to an increasingly terrifying mystery. The crew now faced the reality that the planet was not dead, it was alive, in ways they could barely comprehend, and whatever secrets it held, they were far from benign. The pivotal moment came when the exploration team stumbled upon an enormous underground chamber unlike anything they had seen before. The chamber's walls shimmered with strange energy, pulsating softly, casting an eerie glow over the entire space. At the center of the chamber was an intricate structure. Towering above them, a large, multi-layered device made of materials they couldn't identify. The structure emitted a low, rhythmic hum, vibrating gently through the ground. It was clearly not a natural formation. This was the first undeniable proof that some form of intelligent life had either existed on this planet or still did. The team, frozen in awe, approached cautiously, their sensors working overtime to scan the device. What they found only deepened the mystery. The readings didn't match any known technologies on Earth. In fact, they didn't align with anything the team had ever encountered in their studies of alien civilizations either. The device seemed to be drawing energy from the planet itself, possibly even fueling the strange magnetic disturbances they had been experiencing since their arrival. There was an eerie beauty to the way the structure interacted with the environment, as though it was alive, responding to their presence. Suddenly, one of the crew members, Dr. Martinez, noticed something unusual. Hidden in the shadows near the base of the device, partially covered by debris, was what looked like a control panel. The symbols on the panel were similar to the hieroglyphics they had seen in the tunnels. But this time there was a pattern, something recognizable. With trembling hands, Dr. Martinez began to interact with the symbols. And to everyone's shock, the device reacted. A loud hum filled the air as the structure began to shift and move, revealing a previously hidden compartment. Inside the compartment was the most startling discovery yet, a containment pod. The pod, transparent and glowing faintly, contained a figure. It wasn't the alien creature they had found earlier encased in crystal. This being looked more humanoid, though its elongated limbs and features were distinctly not human. The figure inside appeared to be in some form of suspended animation, floating weightlessly within the pod. As the crew stood around it, their minds raced with the implications. This was the moment that changed everything. The evidence was clear. This planet wasn't just home to primitive life forms or ancient ruins. An advanced civilization had lived here, and they had achieved extraordinary technological feats. But the question remained, was this being alive? Or was it a relic of a long-dead species? As they discussed their options, the atmosphere in the chamber grew thick with tension. Then, without warning, the pod systems began to reactivate, its lights flickering and pulsing in response to Dr. Martinez's earlier interaction. The figure inside twitched slightly, its eyes opening just a crack. The team backed away instinctively, their hearts pounding. The being inside was alive, or at least, it was beginning to wake up. This revelation sent shockwaves through the team. Everything they thought they knew about the planet's lifelessness was wrong. This wasn't just an archaeological dig anymore. It was first contact. The implications were staggering. The existence of an intelligent, possibly still living species raised questions that no one was prepared to answer. What kind of civilization had built these technologies? How had they survived in such an inhospitable environment? And most importantly, what would happen now that they had been discovered? The crew scrambled to communicate with their base, but the strange magnetic fields interfered with their equipment. They were isolated, deep underground, with no way to call for immediate backup. The situation had escalated from a scientific investigation into something far more dangerous. They were no longer just explorers. They had unwittingly become part of the planet's secret history. The realization hit them hard. Whatever lay dormant on this planet wasn't dead. It had been waiting, perhaps for centuries, perhaps longer. The question now was whether the being in the pod was friend or foe. Was it a survivor, a guardian of the planet, or something more sinister? As the team stood frozen in front of the awakening being, One thing became clear. Their understanding of this planet and their place in the universe had shifted dramatically. Life didn't just exist in the familiar, Earth-like environments they had always assumed. It thrived in ways they couldn't even begin to comprehend, and now they were about to face it head-on. The exploration of the mysterious planet ended up revealing more than anyone had ever expected. What started as a routine mission to confirm the planet's lifelessness turned into a dramatic unfolding of secrets that would alter humanity's understanding of life in the universe forever. The key discoveries included the presence of an underground network of tunnels, clearly designed and built by an advanced civilization. This alone was enough to challenge the long-standing belief that the planet was dead. But it was the subsequent revelations that truly shook the team to their core. The discovery of the alien device, still humming with life and energy, was the first sign that this planet wasn't simply a relic of the past. The structure showed that its creators had harnessed the planet's energy for purposes unknown, suggesting a level of technological sophistication far beyond anything humanity had encountered before. The device, with its pulsating lights and ability to manipulate the environment, hinted that the civilization that once inhabited the planet had unlocked powers that Earth's most brilliant scientists could only dream of understanding. This shattered the assumption that life needed Earth-like conditions to develop advanced technology. The encounter with the suspended alien being in the containment pod was the pivotal moment. This discovery provided undeniable proof that life, intelligent, perhaps even sentient, had existed on this planet. The humanoid figure, preserved in a state of suspended animation, suggested that the species had achieved incredible advancements in biological and technological sciences. But the deeper implications were even more profound. If one civilization had thrived here, how many more existed in the universe? The existence of this being suggested that life could take forms far different from what humans expected, surviving in conditions previously thought impossible. Perhaps the most chilling discovery was that the planet was not dead. The being in the pod, showing signs of awakening, indicated that whatever this species was, it might not be extinct. The technology left behind seemed to respond to the team's presence, as though waiting for someone, perhaps even for them. This raised even more questions about the planet's past and its future. Had the species that built these structures left voluntarily? Were they coming back? Or had something catastrophic happened to them, leaving behind remnants like this mysterious creature? These discoveries forced the crew, and by extension, humanity, to reconsider the narrow definitions of life. For so long, Earth had been the center of human understanding of biology and technology. But the findings on this planet suggested that life could develop in ways that defied human logic. The idea that intelligent civilizations could exist on planets deemed inhospitable challenged the foundation of human space exploration. It meant that humanity's search for life in the universe had been far too limited, confined by the assumption that life would only flourish in Earth-like environments. The mission's implications stretched far beyond science. The discovery of an alien civilization, dormant or otherwise, raised ethical questions about humanity's role in exploring and interacting with other species. Should humans disturb these planets in the name of discovery, or should they respect the boundaries of alien life forms, especially when they don't fully understand the consequences of their actions? This planet had been labeled lifeless based on human standards, but the reality was far more complex. There was life here, intelligent and ancient, and humanity was only beginning to scratch the surface of understanding it. As the crew prepared to leave the planet, the final thoughts weighed heavily on them. They had gone searching for answers, but instead, they left with more questions. The galaxy was far more mysterious and filled with life than they had ever imagined. This planet, once thought to be a barren wasteland, was now a symbol of how little humanity truly knew about the cosmos. The mission had transformed their understanding of what life could be, and as they left the surface for the last time, they knew that their discoveries would change the future of space exploration forever. In the end, the exploration of this planet didn't just challenge scientific assumptions. It expanded the possibilities for life in the universe and forced humanity to confront its place among the stars. Life was no longer something to be discovered in familiar forms on distant, Earth-like planets. It was something far more elusive, strange, and unexpected. And that was perhaps the most exciting and terrifying realization of all.